Pokemon Go might be printing money, but it won't save Nintendo.
And will Microsoft be able to save the world through warning messages?
The Apple Watch might just be the new frontier of RPG gaming.
Is it time for Shigeru Miyamoto to take a nap?
I'm Sam Chen.
And I'm Paul Mooney.
All these stories and more Pokeballs than you can throw at all those Pidgeys. Stick around, you're watching the Nerdy News Roundup.
We begin this week with a story out of EVO. Unfortunately, the fighting game tournament made headlines that break Las Vegas' cardinal rule of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Smash Brothers competitor Vicky Kitty was allegedly sexually assaulted in a hotel room shared by many competitors, by fellow competitor Hyuga, leading a tournament ban and a loss of sponsorship. Sam, it seems like sexism has been in the headlines a lot lately. What's going on here?
So I think the response to this is actually very direct, right? And I think it's exactly what needed to happen. She was in a room, she alleged sexual assault, she had witnesses, they kicked him out, she reported it to the police, and the gaming authorities, so to speak, took action. They banned him. I think for a while he was talking about retiring. Now I think he's like made up with her a little bit and maybe not retiring. I think they need to go the exact same way that every other professional sport is headed, where we are not tolerating sexual assault.
Yes, I think so. Especially in a case where there were witnesses and there were this follow-up to it. It wasn't just her saying...
She's not crying rape by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but she filed a police report and she had other people collaborating in the story. And I'd like to think that those people were probably above board and the actions she took were appropriately followed up by the gaming community.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's sad that it's happened, but she did what she was supposed to do, and I really hope that as a community, people feel pretty safe. And I think this action seems like it would give people confidence that they're not going to brush things under the rug.
This is true. Also, be sure when you're drinking in Vegas, don't go too far, people.
Don't.
Just because we had 24-hour liquor service doesn't mean it's okay to get so sloppy drunk that you do bad things. Okay.
A yardstick is a souvenir. It is not a test of wills.
Right. Exactly.
Don't do it. CSGO has been in the news lately for a series of scandals related to online betting. The controversies range from underage gambling to failure to disclose sponsorship, all the way to Twitch permanently suspending a well-known personality in the Counter-Strike community. Paul, with esports getting so much attention these days, was it only a matter of time before gambling became an issue?
Well, I think gambling has probably been an issue in gaming a lot longer than we think. And I think it's just gotten to the point where the black market version of it has gotten more visible. And now people have been more brazen about it. So
yeah, I mean, I think I've had a lot of conversations with friends about esports because obviously the hotel community in Vegas is really hyped on kind of the esports scene. And I said, the thing that's going to make or break esports is really going to be betting. At some point, it all comes down to money, and everything has to do with money. And the fact of the matter is, it's just not enough of a regulated community yet on the server side or even in tournaments that it's possible. I think the closest you can get is stuff like the MOBAs, where you've got 5 or 6 league players working together. There's only so much you can do to throw a match without it being completely obvious.
Right. That's a true story. And then, I mean, we also have to accept the fact that even with conventional sports, there's always going to be a sort of black market atmosphere to gambling. That's just kind of how it works. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't work harder towards regulating esports in terms of gambling. Maybe they should start having it be something that should be fitting into the marketplace and the economy. But that's also going to be like that state-by-state, interstate commerce type deal where some states don't allow it and others do. And we've seen it with poker. So I think it just might be bringing up more of the awareness of what might need to happen in the future.
Sure.
Sparked by an accusation of facilitating a fraud-fueled economy, the leading online marketplace for digital gaming keys, G2A, has started publicly addressing these issues, ranging from royalties to developers, enhanced identity screening for users, and even priority placement for first-party auctions. G2A appears to be cleaning up its act. Sam, is G2A going on the straight and narrow a good thing for the community, or is someone just going to take its place?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's a good thing for the community because it has to be regulated, right? If you just spend time screwing developers out of money by using fake credit card keys, eventually someone's going to crack down, and it might go back to harsh DRM rules that we haven't seen for a while. Now, will someone replace it? It's hard to say because they have a really big seat in the community, And I don't see someone else unseating them just because they're going straight.
Right. Just because they're doing a better job doesn't mean that there's going to be that niche audience that's like, oh, this is going to be a better way for me to do things illegally. Like, it was really, the reason D2A had that problem in the first place because it was so prominent. So I think just by them being prominent and cleaning up their act doesn't remove the prominence from them. You know what I'm saying? So it's for someone else to then become prominent and also have those illegal components, I don't think it's that likely to happen.
Right, and especially because I think we're going to start seeing a shift towards the Xbox marketplace for Windows games. It might end up being a little bit more of a moot point once we get there. So yeah. I don't think there's really room for someone to come and move in right now.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough gaming space left.
Is it time for the creator of Donkey Kong, Super Mario Bros., and Zelda to take a nap? The mastermind behind many a Nintendo success has also been the root of many of their failures. Most recently, with the launch of Star Fox Zero, it's become clear that Miyamoto has been out of touch with fans. Paul, is this a byproduct of the constant push to innovate? Does Miyamoto need to take a step back and get back to a gamer-centric design method?
I think Miyamoto may be forcing a little too much at this point. It seems like a square peg, round hole situation they did, especially in this case with Star Fox, where it was done, or I needed to have it done specifically this way, but they licensed it, or they had the game developed by a company that's known for big action, like fighting games, and it's a fight simulator.
Right, and I think to that point, the bigger problem was the fact that you had people coming out after it was first demoed at E3 saying, hey, these controls are janky, this doesn't work.
Right.
And then what happened? They license it out, the other company doesn't really have any control, and they release a game with the same control issues that they were having before, which ironically is a reflection of Miyamoto's control issues.
Pretty much, right? It's, okay, I hear what you're saying. Do it my way anyway. And it's, of course it was going to turn out bad. I mean...
Not everyone can be Kojima.
Yes, this is
true. Not everyone can be Kojima kids.
Kojima Watch 2016.
This week's sponsor we wish we had is Monoprice. If you haven't heard of Monoprice, then you've been overpaying for cables all these years. Almost all of the cables and a good amount of the rigging for all of our shows comes straight from Monoprice without paying boatloads of money on retail equipment. So if you know anyone who works at Monoprice, tell them we sent you and beg them to give us some money. Please. Please. And for our main story tonight, if you haven't been living underneath a rock for the last 2 weeks, then you've probably heard about Pokemon Go, the viral mobile game that's more popular than sex, or at least Tinder. Our focus tonight isn't about the record revenue that the game has been raking in, or the fact that Nintendo's stock has practically doubled since launch. We're here to talk about how it isn't the solution to Nintendo's woes. It's actually a symptom of them. Wired released a piece this week where it strongly challenged the assertion that Nintendo needed to go mobile. Perhaps this is the first step towards a Nintendo that's cognizant of the world around them, or perhaps it's just a precursor to the NX being the first nail in Nintendo's coffin. Paul, what do you think of the signals for Nintendo's future?
Well, I do still think it means that Nintendo has strong licenses. And they have a lot of actionability behind it, because obviously the company that they had this joint venture in with the AR version of Pokemon, and it seems like a knockout of the park, even though having many friends who have played it religiously said it is kind of broken.
Yeah.
You're not the only one who's guilty on this one. I'm just saying, there's a lot of steam behind their enterprises, so if they can do it right, they can succeed and they can get better, but it is still an if, and it's still not a core gaming thing.
Right, when I think this doesn't signal that Nintendo's figured out how to make games that people want to play right now. You know, I think they're still building a lot off nostalgia, and right now, most of their stuff is, hey, let's take this reboot of this old thing that people love, and maybe update it, some with success, some without success, some into a movie, you know, some into the movie we wish we had, like with Pokemon. Right. So I don't think this is actually, I think the article's right on point, that this isn't really a good sign that Nintendo's figured anything out, other than they kind of rolled the dice and got lucky.
Yeah, no, they got a really, really big Band-Aid that kind of pushed them to the top. It's not even a Band-Aid, it's like a life support injection, basically. That just
cocaine, straight to the bloodstream.
Right, Pokemon Go is gaming cocaine, yes, I will fully admit that. Nintendo, don't sue me. I don't mean any of this. Some of this is satire, okay. Just say that to record.
Sam made you say it.
He did. The Nerdy Knights are holding me hostage. But yeah, more to the point, it's not that they've started making good games again. Like I don't think they've had a really, really good franchise come out that's something they've built their entire generation around at all. Like it's more Mario, more this, more that, and now we've got this is a Pokemon game. We've won Pokemon for a long time. It's not even a game they developed, so it's hard to say they've actually shifted into the right direction in terms of a gaming company. I think the movies and stuff like that are going to be great. And they have some theme park being built and like.
Yeah, they put some significant investment into, I think, a Universal theme park like thing. I think they're spending more than Harry Potter spent on their version of this.
So obviously there's a good bit of nostalgia, and I mean you don't want to be like the Disneyland of gaming at that point either, like because you're not gaming anymore. You've turned it from gaming into your characters.
Well, you're not even the Disneyland of modern gaming at that point.
It's true. It just feels kind of stale. And more power to them for doing so well with this single venture. But I don't think they should start like pulling the party poppers like they've made some major gaming achievement. They do need to really focus on the critical point of they have not delivered a good set of games in quite some time now.
Can't get enough of nerd culture? Then check out all the great content we have on the Nerdy Nights YouTube channel. Explore Let's Play in a whole new way with Mike and the Let's Play podcast. Check out our back catalog of Nerdy Nights Radio, where we talk about all things nerdy and some things that are actually more culturally appropriate. And don't forget to check out Board Nights, where we play board games, usually poorly. Click the link below for all this great content and more.
As the show comes to a close, we finish with the lightning round, Does This Matter? Where we're always right and the points don't matter. Nintendo is rebooting the NES with a 30-game HDMI-compatible retro console just in time for the holiday season. Sam, does Nintendo just want us to throw us money at the screen?
Well, of course Nintendo wants to throw money at the screen. We just spent half this piece talking about this. I think it's actually a really good idea. I think it actually does matter because it does one thing that they weren't really able to do well before, is it opens it up to the streaming market without having to do an emulator. And the 30 games are probably the only games people care about watching anyway.
That's also a valid point. I think it matters because Atari did kind of the same thing where they had like Atari Classics in the controller, and it was about the same time in the lifetime of Nintendo's done. So more power to them.
I mean, the only real problem with this is geeks have to non-ironically walk into an Urban Outfitters.
Oh God, no.
Crazy. Microsoft might be pulling a Nintendo, as reports suggest Xbox One is implementing a new feature that warns you if you're playing games too much. Paul, are we finally going to stop seeing mass news outlets attribute shootings to video games?
Not even a small chance. But you might see some more arrested gamers. Some of them may take that message to heart.
No, I mean, I think warning you that you're playing too many, I don't know anyone that's really affected.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just one person out of 1,000, it's still worth it. I mean, how much effort do they really have to put into doing it? I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference at the end of the day, but at least it's showing that they're making some efforts or something.
Did you hear that, Blizzard? Put a fucking warning message in StarCraft 2.
I'm sure the professional gamers will love that.
In the middle of the match.
No! Square Enix seems to be getting into a new form of mobile gaming. Cosmos Rings will be Square's first RPG released for Apple Watch. Sam, are game companies really trying to get us to exercise?
I mean, what do you think Pokemon Go is? It's a huge social experiment just to get you to walk around parks, right? It would be really hilarious if, like, now that they've announced that that McDonald's is going to be the first Pokestop sponsor or Pokegym sponsor, the next one is like the U.S. like National Park Service.
See that.
Come to Yosemite, catch some Pokemon. So I think this is a huge stretch for Square to create anything that's Apple Watch ready. I mean, you're basically getting an updated Tamagotchi. So no, this doesn't matter at all. But we're gonna get more fitness apps. I promise you.
Sure, that's definitely gonna happen. And more power to Square for at least trying something new. And it's not like they don't have the money with that Final Fantasy reboot coming out. But they're going to be rich. They're going to be flush with cash, homie. They can do whatever they wanted after that point.
All right. Reports this week have No Man's Sky's developer Hello Games in some hot water, with Dutch company Jetacap saying it owns the super formula used in the procedurally generated Space Sandbox game. Paul, did the hype train just hit a break wall?
No. Not at all. No Man's Sky, I have so much trouble saying that for some reason, is the darling child of Sony at this point. And I honestly think they're probably more flattered than anything else that they decided to use their super formula to invest in something that's probably going to change the indie market overall as time goes on. So I think it'll probably be more of a collaborative thing more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've kind of come out and said And yeah, I mean, we didn't really license it yet, but we're open to this. Yeah, it's good. It's all good. We're okay.
Yeah, well, we'll be happy to involve in this. One of the largest game releases, most anticipated game releases of this year anyway. I mean, why would they be that upset?
So the hype train is still moving strong.
Full stream.
Doesn't matter.
It's almost becoming the Hyperloop train at this point.
All right, Elon Musk. All right.
Evolve, that 4v1 multiplayer game everyone was supposed to play but no one has, is now free to play. Now dubbed Evolve Stage 2, Turtle Rock Studios is trying to capture the excitement that gamers had before actually playing the game. Sam, is Evolve playing to its namesake, or is there just not enough Thunderstone to jumpstart this Pikachu?
There's never enough Thunderstones, Paul. You know, as someone who's played Evolve before, you know, I think it's actually a decent game. I think the way they lock their content behind like experience actually made it less accessible. You know, you see, could you imagine if you were playing Overwatch and all of a sudden like half the characters were locked and you couldn't play them until you played like 50 levels of Overwatch? That'd be horrible.
That's not good.
So I think, you know, it's good. People might get to try out the game, but what are they going to do? Put out more DLC?
Probably.
And try to like recoup money that way? You can't really convince people to play a game and pay DLC if it didn't work the first time.
Yeah, see, the whole thing is when it goes free to play, that almost assures there's going to be more DLC in the future. Just by baiting people in and trying to get them to play this game or bring back other players, you know, at the end of the day, they're still going to try to make money. So yeah. I wasn't really convinced by this game the first time around, and free to play doesn't really change my opinion on that.
So it's a valiant attempt at resurrecting the game, but
I don't think it's going to happen.
Sorry.
Turtle.
Sorry, Turtle Rock. Go get your turtle and hide behind a rock. This week's meme of the week is an homage to capitalism and all things Pokemon. Like this budding restaurateur who hopes to catch more flies with apathy and a little bit of joy. Or this pizzeria, which rewards you for how much you've actually played the game. Some businesses need to remind you to pay money before getting your Pokemon Go on. And others, like this zoo, just gave in to the masses by theming its signage for all the animals like the game's Pokedex. And that's it for this week's Nerdy News Roundup. Don't let us go the way of CSGO weapon skin betting. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm Paul Mooney alongside Sam Chen. Join us again next week because the last thing the world needed was another gaming news show, but you tuned in anyway.